So we're here with Tanu Tyle. We're here at her future residence in Woodlands, Texas, Aria Isle. And we've got to a point where we've just completed site planning and all the civil design planning, grading, concept. We're about to break grounds on foundation, and we just want to talk about some of the things that we've decided, we've accomplished, and just talk about the story thus far on this project here at Aria Isle. And so first off, Civil Mesh has provided a aerial flyover, topography, and digital terrain modeling has been pretty much the core of what we've been doing so far, trying to fit this house and design aspects into this lot, because we have a lot of elevation change. And, you know, as always, we want to be so high on our elevation for the pad, but sometimes the elevations around it prohibit how high you can go. And so we're just going to discuss some of those things and going forward about the finished floor elevation. So let's talk a little bit about the finished floor and what inspired you to be at this certain elevation that we've come to.
So when we got this lot, you know, and also coming from the Houston area, the hurricane and the winds and the history of it, I decided, and plus the changing levels of FEMA, you know, and FEMA map is already very old.
Always rising up.
Always rising up. So I thought, why not be proactive?
Yeah.
And just try to beat that, you know, as humanly as possible and just go a little higher than required. So that's what we did. Nothing like rocket science there, just, you know, some kind of proactive thinking. And hopefully we will be safe. Yeah. Yeah.
So let's talk about a couple different points. You know, Harvey came here, was that 4 years ago?
It came in 2017, and apparently this island...
It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while. And this island apparently was under some water. I do not know how much. The authorities say maybe about 132, but we don't know for sure. But anyways, but that was more like a 500-year flood, right, that time. And so
maybe 1,000.
Maybe 1,000, yeah. And it was mainly the flood consideration at that point, not so much wind.
Yeah.
You know, the wind was the hurricane before. But we have to plan for everything, the wind and the flood waters. So that's what we have been trying to achieve as much as possible. Igor has been an expert in this kind of new construction, which is kind of rare in this part of the world. I believe 95% homes are still timber frame.
Yeah.
But this is going to be ICA, which is a very heavy,
very
construction.
Strong.
And so from that point of view, also Luke has been really helping us, you know, getting the elevations correct, getting the grading correct, and see how even the trucks, you know, the truckload of the soil that will come and go from the ground. And it's very important to have all these things figured out, because then we can plan effectively, because it's easier to plan on the computer versus doing in the actual field.
Yeah.
So that's where your value is very, very strong in many ways, you know.
I want to touch on a couple different technical points of that finished floor elevation setting. So over there, what is that area where the restaurants are? That one point that we...
True Luck.
Yeah, True Luck. Yeah. So this particular place, we knew flooded at Harvey, and we knew it didn't get too high there. And so we wanted to use that as one of our benchmarks. So we did a topography, a large topography of this whole area, and we picked that as an elevation. We picked the Woodlands Dam as an elevation. We picked the 500-year floodplain as an elevation, and we are above all that. And so it's essentially impossible for this house to flood, because if the lake gets to a certain level, there is 10, 25 feet of overflow to where it's essentially impossible. This house is essentially flood proof based on the planning that we did, you know, looking at the details of the topography and stuff like that.
Exactly, you know, and that's very precious, because during the design process, the contributions that you made along those lines with the drone and with all those things and guidance was very good.
Yes, and so that brings us to the next point, which is now we know what elevation we want to be at. The HOA prohibits a certain amount of dirt from being brought in.
Yes.
And so the only way we were able to achieve that was crawl space. And so the crawl that you know, forced the crawl space to allow us to be at that elevation. And so now we're at certain elevation where we achieved it with crawl space. Now we have to figure out how to transition down to the certain elevations that don't necessarily require, allow dirt sloping on all areas. And so we put the dirt sloping in the areas that we could put the dirt slope at 5-to-1 minimum, up to 10-to-1 ideally, and then the certain areas that required you know, a series of terracing of the garden beds and retaining walls. So we helped with that. Well, the last thing I wanted to talk about was just I've heard Praveen say a couple times that he was so glad to have me involved.
Yes.
What do you all talk about behind the scenes when y'all talk about my
we say the
contributions?
same thing, you know, like because you know so many things. You know, people don't realize how important design can be and how important a good design can be. Like they say, you know, measure twice, cut once.
That's right.
So that's where you're very helpful with. You're helpful with the sense that because we are doing so much planning behind the scene that we hopefully won't run into issues, and we are also able to plan better.
Yeah.
And allocate our resources better, you know, instead of having to scramble at the last minute.
I appreciate that I'm valued, and
yes,
I love to participate in high-scale, high-end projects like this. I love to go hard on the planning, as they say, because I get to shine and use all these skills. You know, I'm second generation developer, you know, operating, just horizontal construction guy, and I love when I get tested to design things in a tier that we are doing here. So,
awesome. You know, it's very precious to have a second generation person like you also. Like I was saying earlier, not many children follow their parents, but that's experience.
That's right.
Yeah, it's lots of experience.
Matured experience.
On ground experience.
Well, looking forward to see what this turns into, and it's going to be a big journey, a good journey, and excited to see how this turns out.
Thank you so much, Luke, for all your help. Really,
thank you.
I mean it.